Alright everybody, I wanted to talk just a little bit about how I turned one printer into about 30 plus printers and put them into a storefront in 5 years. So this will be a very quick video. I'll try to keep it under 5 minutes, but as I was laid off from General Electric about 5 years ago, I knew I wanted to be self-employed. So I bought my first 3D printer. It looks very similar to the one in the back. It was a custom build printer from someone who built it locally. Didn't know what to do with it after 2-3 months of printing it, breaking it, fixing it. I knew I wanted to make some money with it, but I didn't know how. So essentially, I didn't know what item I wanted to print. I knew a bunch of other people printed items and then sold them, and some of them did great. And you know, some people are selling mouthpieces for instruments or gun parts or you know, some type of little Hercules clip or whatever. I didn't know what to make. I'm not like an inventor I just hadn't turned that creativity on yet. So I offered my 3D printer as a service, and through just a little bit of free advertising / marketing, I'll keep at least one secret in this video out. If you watch enough of my content, you can get everything that I've done here, and I intend on sharing everything. But in this video, I'm going to leave out the main thing that got me started, and comment below if you think you know what it is. But after I got that first listing and really started advertising, I did a little bit of advertising on Facebook. Nothing paid, all just, you know, posting something on Marketplace or saying, hey, I can do this. After about 6 months and a couple good orders, you know, enough to pay off my first printer and buy another one, I had someone challenge me and be like, hey, why don't you have business cards? And it's like, oh yeah, I guess this is a business, I should get business cards. So I got some cards. After another 6 months of having cards, I was busy enough that I was actually asking for money to get a setup like this. I knew that it was going to take 30-something printers to be full-time. I knew that 2 printers wasn't full-time money, at least not unless you have that golden egg item. So I... sorry, blanked for a half second. I was asking for money, and anybody that was talking to me was like, hey, your business doesn't exist. You don't have an EIN number. You're not a taxable, you know, a tax anything. So you have no business credit to get a loan. And a couple of people had said to me, hey, just bootstrap this, you know, just go a couple prints at a time to the point that you can get, you know, the business going. So that's essentially what I did. Is I just kind of kept going, went from 1 printer to 6 to 10 to 15. I took it from, you know, 4 rooms, moved it all into 1 room, sat there, and then moved all of that into the garage. Had to add a little bit of power into the garage, and I've been in the garage for the past 2 years, I believe, year and a half, until the point that I filled the garage up, and it was really starting to get claustrophobic in the garage. So I was having a hard time keeping track of things, keeping things organized, finding a place for everything. So there were some people that had been offering me opportunities to potentially move into their space. One of them was a flower shop, another one was a music store. But my buddy Aaron here, when I told him that, he's like, hey man, you need to come up to the makerspace and let's talk about you possibly moving in here, where I'm at now. And the Tarrant County makerspace, where it's a small space and it hadn't really been set up fully as a functioning, profitable makerspace, it is a good space. It does have a bunch of extra tools, and I was able to move in here. Now how did I get there to this point? It's literally from just printing something every day, and I'm realizing this isn't going to be a 5-minute video, so we'll keep going after the 5-minute mark. But talking to customers, doing my best to not turn down jobs. I will say that's going to come with stress though, because as some of the jobs came in, and I wasn't able to do them, or wasn't able to fill them to the customer's expectations, you know, you're going to get upset customers. You're going to get customers that wanted something sooner than you can provide it. Sometimes something says it's a day or 2 print, and you print it, and it fails on 18 hours, and then it fails on 10 hours, and it fails on, you know, 20 hours. And, you know, what you might have told the customer is going to take 2 days ends up taking a week and a half or 2 weeks. So there's a lot of struggle that comes out of this. But, you know, with that, you can move forward. And that's essentially what I've been forced to do, is through a lot of my repeat customers, through new business coming in, it's just like, okay, if you know, when you stumble and you lose a little money on one or two projects, you know, you just got to make sure, restructure, and get more. And so one thing to talk about would be, when I first started, I didn't know how to price. And pricing is probably one of the big key things that a lot of people who get started in this don't know how to do. And you don't need complex pricing. I don't do complex pricing. I do print by the hour. When I first started, I was doing $2 an hour. I went up to $3 an hour, $4 an hour. I'm up to $6 an hour right now. Somewhere past $6 and $10 an hour, print hour that is. So if something's a 4 hour print, I'm going to charge them 4 times 6. Somewhere past 10 is pretty expensive, in my opinion. That's where prints start getting pretty pricey. But at $6 an hour, a lot of people are fine with what these prints cost, and that covers my electricity, that covers my plastic, that covers a couple fails, and I've got to make some money. I got to keep the lights on. I have to pay a bill. I've got electricity, you know, at the house as well, not just electricity here. So you have to bill all that in. You can't just think, okay, this only cost me 50 cents, so $1.50 is like asking too much. It's really not. If it costs you 50 cents, you should probably be making $6 to $10 on it. Just being straight up with it. So, you know, make sure you've got a good pricing. Some print companies do minimum orders, so it's like nothing's under $20 or $50, or anything that I start is an immediate $20. Then it's $3 a print hour. Then it's $2 an hour on post-processing, removing supports. I include the supports in that $6 an hour, so that's probably why it's a higher print hour. But, you know, I am removing supports for people. So, you know, it can be a wash one way or the other on how you do your pricing, but I think you need to average above 3. If you're going to start, that's where I really started feeling like I was making money, was above $3 an hour. And around the 5 and 6, I was like, okay, this is actually sustainable as my full-time job, as long as I've got more than 10 to 15 printers running. And, you know, you can count here, I think there's somewhere around 30 actively running right now. I've got a handful in the graveyard still back at the house that I haven't moved over here. We've got 3 more king runes coming, but I can fit another 3 on top of that, so 6 more can fit in just that shelf alone. We'll see if the power will handle it. But another thing would be complementary avenues of revenue. So one of the first ones that I knew I needed, because I was, well, the very first one is modeling. You know, if someone comes to you and they need something 3D printed, they say, here's my logo, it's a picture, I need this 3D printed. You can't 3D print a picture. You have to turn that picture into a 3D model. So if you're not a 3D modeler yourself, I would say become one. You know, you don't have to be able to do everything, but if you can, you know, at least put text and make a square and a block, if you can use Tinkercad, then you're going to be able to get started. I do probably 10 to 20% of my orders that come in for 3D modeling on Tinkercad myself. And that's 100% profit on the modeling that I get to make. So something that takes me 30 minutes to an hour and a half to model on Tinkercad, I get to charge the customer $60 to $150. He's not paying too much in modeling. I'm getting to make well over what my hourly rate would be, at least for that time. And, you know, that's really nice. Now, the second thing would be, if you're not an excellent modeler, you need to get one. So there's lots of places to find good modelers. You can probably find one locally in your city. Sometimes local people can be more expensive, especially if you're in the US, comparing to like India or Bulgaria or somewhere over there. I ended up video gaming with a guy for a long time, over a year, and he got interested in the 3D printing just from me talking about it on video games. And I drank one of them. Yeah, I saw there was 2 yesterday. And after a year of talking with him, he was like, hey, check out this model I made, check this out. So he started showing me some stuff, and then I was like, hey, try doing this. So I gave him a couple jobs, and he ended up becoming my full-time modeler. So I truly believe that if you're going to have a full-time 3D printing service business where you're printing as a service, if you're trying to copy what I'm doing, you're going to have a full-time modeler. On top of that, other services, and the nice thing with that is if my modeler quotes me $100 for a project, I'm going to charge $150, $200, because that's my consulting, that's my in the middle, that's me talking to Mandra, that covers my time and hours communicating with the modeler, making sure it's right, because sometimes he'll do something off, and I understood the customer more than what I first initially explained it to the modeler, and I can fix that. So all that needs to be kind of built in there. And then from there, just other things, I occasionally get people calling wanting a 2D print. If you want to have a 2D printer in here and provide $5-10 copies for people, you definitely get a little bit of business from that, but that's not full-time income. The next thing would be the 3D scanner. I'm actually looking for where I put mine. I don't see where I put it. Where do we put the scanner? Slightly, oh no, it's over here. So I've got a 3D scanner under here, and I would say the key with this one is a Thor 3D Calibri. It's a good mid-range scanner. It can do, like, if I wanted to scan this barrel, I could scan this barrel pretty easily, and it would all come in pretty nicely. It likes medium to big size objects. I would say this is a medium object, something like that might be big. It's all relative, a building is much larger, obviously, or a car. But it does like 7 feet down to like a few inches. So, like I could get the outline of this remote, but it wouldn't really give me super definition on the buttons and all this other stuff. It would be hard to get this curve at the bottom with it like this. It'd be able to pick up the curve here. But there are some limitations to scanners, especially the really small cheap ones. Anything under $1,000, $2,000, I don't think is really worth it. I think you really need to be spending upwards of $3,000 to $6,000 on a proper scanner. Maybe over time they'll get better, just like our cell phones have gotten better. But there's no cell phone 3D scanner that works worth a damn, none of them. So don't be fooled by that type of stuff. If you need a 3D scanner, they are nice, because that 3D scanner, I charge people $150 an hour to 3D scan something. So when they come out, they say, hey, I need this scanned. $150 an hour for the scan, then another on top of that to clean that scan up. But a lot of the times that's a lot faster than if someone just gave me something and said, okay, you now need to recreate it from photos, and I've got to either measure it or only use photos and guess and fix things. And there's generally a whole lot of edits and repairs that have to go into, here's just a photo, make it exactly like that. A scanner can really help catch a lot of those smaller details that you might otherwise miss when you're just staring at a photo. Another one that I just recently got into is this laser engraving. So laser engraving is a great, actually you can see I actually have it. I paused because I'm looking at something, but the height of the glove is too high over there. It needs to be further down. The focus point of that laser is lower. But these are neat. So you can engrave, wood, leather, 3D prints. I did some 3D prints, painted them, and then lasered off the paint, and that looks really cool. So there's quite a couple things. We're starting to explore that a little bit more. I've only had the engravers for a couple weeks now. I had them like 3 or 4 days before I moved into this shop. So I haven't had a lot of opportunity to play with them yet, but they seem pretty neat. Doing some reindeer here, but yeah, I mean, this is essentially what I had to do. Another key aspect of this would have been the software I use. The software doesn't make the difference by any means. You getting software isn't going to make you successful, but it's a nice tool that makes the daily life of things a little bit easier. So I'm specifically using this Thrive. It gives me this type of inbox here, so people email me. They do my website, so they have really good website designers. The company that is Thrive is DexYP/Yellow Pages. So DexYP is an internet webpage company, and they merged with Yellow Pages, which is the yellow book, the phone books, and they do websites. So I've got, it's kind of showing me the 3 different websites. I've got this nice website here. If you haven't been to it, I encourage you to check it out. I do get a lot of compliments on it, so I'm proud of this website. Although I didn't build it myself, I just kind of helped direct to say, hey, I know what looks good. I want it to look fancy. I didn't say like, here's where I want everything. I was just like, make it look good, be professional with it, and then I'll tell you if I want something to change. We end up getting a GIF to run in the background, so that's really cool. I really love the GIF in the background. I think that really alone, that's probably the one feature alone that impresses a lot of people. And the other thing would be this and my story. So the history right here, a lot of people actually read this. At least 1 in 5 or something that come to my website are reading this and then commenting on it. So I literally get calls just on this saying, hey, this is awesome, we love where you're at. It's actually time that I update it. So I haven't updated this since the beginning of the year. It'll be a really good update to do now. But the website is important. So you want to make sure you have a good website. Otherwise, I do my invoicing through here. So I can, just straight up bring up an invoice. I can email it over, put their name, their information in, go to this Astro Lizard guy, and, you can see I can put in pre-made stuff, or I can add a custom item. So all this is, I can add my taxes and processing fees. This made billing people a lot easier. Instead of just saying I'm only cash, or can you do Venmo or PayPal or whatever, I can just accept credit cards right through here. It doesn't have Venmo. So that type of stuff's pretty cool. They also do a bunch of other stuff. They can manage your social media if you want to pay a little bit more. I pay a monthly fee for this service. But whenever I want to change to my website, I just say, here's what I want on my website. They'll make the changes. They have this like constant contact type stuff, or birthdays. I can turn all this on. As you can see, none of this is turned on mine because I'm getting so much business that I haven't needed to turn those on. But it's pretty neat using this software. And I also liked it because they were headquartered near where I am now. Unfortunately, COVID has shut down their headquarters, but they are still live and working from around the world. So Thrive is really cool, and they're constantly updating that software. And there's plenty of other software. The type of software that it is would be a CRM, a customer relations management software. I had never heard that term until I was already a year and a half into this business. So if you've never heard it, don't feel bad. But a CRM can do any number of things, from just managing your contacts to managing projects. Another thing that might help is some type of workboard, and I was hoping that Thrive would have this. They do have this type of project thing, but it doesn't work exactly the way I'd love it to. I also use Trello. If you haven't seen Trello before, Trello is really useful. So I'm giving away a lot of tips and tricks here. I've only withheld a little bit at the front here. But you can go on to Trello and make a board. This is a basic board. I'm not going to show you my full one, but you can fill out cards. You can edit. You can edit these cards and add files to it. You can add other people to it. This looks like it could be done for like a school thing. So there's a lot of application with Trello. I found it pretty interesting. I haven't fully utilized it yet. I keep like using it and then not using it, and using it, not using it. I'm kind of really good at doing that, but I need to get a little more scared just doing that. But yeah, there's it's a lot to the way I'm doing it here. This is how I did it. I'm not saying this is how you need to necessarily do it. What I would not recommend, if I was going to say there's a couple things to try to avoid, is printing a lot of inventory of stuff from Thingiverse and then trying to just go sell it at a booth for double what you paid. That's honestly a part of what I thought would come of this in the beginning, but that's how you wind up getting boxes of prints that you don't know what to do with, and they start getting in your way. And you don't want that. You don't want trash around your house that you can't do anything with. But there could be some really hot ticket items on Thingiverse or anywhere else that you're able to buy and sell. The Squid Game mask, for Halloween, a couple people would have made some good money on that. I sold a couple Squid Game masks, but I didn't retail sell them. I had people literally request them. So if you want to do retail, that's one option. I'm a strictly service-based, where people literally just request orders from me. I'm also a reseller for some printers. So as you start to grow and people start relying on you and want to get into 3D printing, it would be good if you can resell printers. Even if, let's say you don't have a contract or enough money to buy 10, 20 printers and have a good profit margin on them, buy one on Amazon, assemble it, make sure it's a good printer, and then offer it to people with a class. Say, hey, I'll teach you how to use this, I'll do all that, make a little money on the class, and then you can educate someone on how to use their 3D printer and still make, say $40-50 on top of whatever the printer cost, even if the printer you're making either 0 or 10 or $20. You just have to be creative. So if you're looking at all this and you've watched this video and you're still running out of ideas, there's a lot of people that need employees. I'm not saying this is for everyone. I really encourage anyone that if you have a ton of ideas, if you're feeling creative, if you want to be creative, push those bounds and see what you can come up with. This isn't going to work if everyone becomes a 3D printing business, but there's plenty of room. I don't see any of you as competition. I get 2 or 3. If I had Mark Forge move in next door, they're still not going to be my competition. They do something different. There's so many avenues when it comes to 3D printing. The metal 3D printing, the house 3D printing, those are things that are still beyond my current capabilities, but I'd like to get to. And there's tons of companies in those spaces. We're still a very small business. I'm still very, it's literally me and Kristen here, and she hasn't even been here this long as far as working with me, and I'm not, I don't have Tesla money. Like I'm still making ends meet. This is not like rich status, so don't look at this and be super impressed. Just look at this as progression. I want to show you where I've been in 5 years. I want to show you that I'm not stopping here. I'm not giving up. Could I make more money and have more money in the bank if I had found an hourly job above $20 an hour? Probably. I'd probably be looking at a little bit more money in my bank overall. But what I see with this is the investment of gaining the customers, the clients, because a lot of my happy clients, a lot of my clients that are maintenance people or people that do innovation in their company of 1,000, 2,000, they call me to then get stuff done, and then they call me again and again and again. I just had a call yesterday from someone who was a client from 1.5 years ago, and he read my website and was super impressed at where we've been in the 1.5 years since he's had something printed with us. So that is what will propel this to a further level. And if I get an opportunity to where a job is just thrown in my lap to print something in metal, and the money is thrown in my lap to go buy the machines, then hands down, we'll get into that, and that'll be great. But if I'm just going to be doing daily jobs where everything is under a few $1,000s, everything's under a few $100, most things are under $100, it's just going to take one print at a time to get there. But I'm paying my bills. I am able to have some spending money, so I'm not struggling by any means. But it can be a struggle, a week or two. Sometimes some of these customers don't pay for 30 to 40 days. That's something you'll have to think about when you start dealing with larger companies. There's stuff called net 30 and net 40. I'd never heard of that until 3 years into this business. I didn't know that people wouldn't pay for something until after it was delivered, and then 30 days after that. So that can really tie up some money when you're talking about spending $400 or $500 on an order, and then you expect to get paid on that order a month and a half later. So you got a budget, you got a plan. There's a lot to think about, a lot to do with the way that I've done this. Am I doing it the perfect way? No. Have I had any mentors? No. Have I watched anyone else on YouTube? Not really. Honestly speaking, and this is probably a fault and an error of mine. For some reason, I don't watch a ton of 3D printing videos on YouTube. I like doing this. I want to share my progress. I'd love to do more entertaining videos, but I watch a little bit of Joel, the 3D printing nerd. I watch a little bit of some other people. I've got my own opinions on different 3D printing stuff, so I kind of just keep my opinions to myself maybe, and 3D print here. But I know we're doing some good work, and I do always want to see other people doing good work and share that. If you don't know, I've got a 3D print Everything for Profit Facebook page group. That's meant to help anybody that wants to make money with the 3D printer. So if you haven't been there, definitely go there and check it out. The community is really nice. I'll remove anybody that posts ads and junk in there, so we try to keep it real clean. But I think this video's gone on long enough. I just wanted to kind of give a good spiel on how I've got where I am, because I think it's pretty cool. Other people talk about it being cool and have requested this video. So, this is for y'all. This is for me 5 years from now to look back at, and I'll probably laugh at myself for a handful of the things I've said for whatever reason. But I do just like to kind of rant and spiel and go on like this. I had no idea where this video was going to go when I started it. I just knew that I wanted to kind of share how I got here. And I'm sure if I did it 3 or 4 or 5 times, it would come out 3 or 4 or 5 times different. But thanks, guys, and we'll see you later.